Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to Grow with Evergreen. Today, our guest is Hannah Powell. Hannah is the Communications and HR Director at Perrywood Garden Centres down in Essex. It's a fantastic business by all accounts, but she does have challenges, marketing challenges that we're going to get into on today's episodes. Crucially, she wants to know how she can drive that footfall into those garden centres all year round. She also wants to discuss how she can measure and track the ROI on the paid media and the marketing spend. There's a lot to get into. We're going to have a lot of fun on this episode. Let's get into it. Welcome to Grow with Evergreen, the podcast designed to help you grow your business by providing practical insights into all things paid media, creative, and digital strategy. Every episode, we help home, garden, and lifestyle brands with their growth challenges by delving into their business, dissecting what they're doing, and defining a digital growth strategy they can take and deploy into their business. Let's get into it. Okay, Con, here we are. Welcome back, my friend, to yet another episode of Grow with Evergreen. How are you doing? How has your week been?
Oh, the week has been absolutely phenomenal. So we've been we've been out of the office to work on the business, right? Out of the business to work on the business. Absolutely fantastic. And we came back, full of ideas and filled to the brim with clearer vision and all that good stuff. And yes, and obviously you've been out, haven't you?
I have, yes. This week I was speaking on yet another stage.
Amazing.
It's where I spend my days these days. It's what I do.
Jaunting from stage to stage.
I just move about, go from stage to stage. So no, it was really good fun. I was out. This one was talking to other agency owners, which was really good fun. Talking about some of the changes we've made at Evergreen and how that's working and stuff like that. So that was really good. And I did love our day out.
Yes,
earlier
it
this
was
week.
good. Yeah,
as you say, a day out to work on the business, not in the business. Hard to do, but one you actually are disciplined and you give yourself the time to do it. So invaluable.
I think so. And I think, sometimes when you're just in the weed of things, you just really need to zoom out and almost zoom out to an extent that you are not even around, because then you just, when you are around, you just can't see the wood for the trees.
And I'll tell you one thing that now that you're coming with me with this, so good, so much better. Genuinely, it's a compliment to you, because for so long I would go out and work on the business myself.
Yeah.
And that's great, but it's, I'm just there noting down ideas myself. But then actually now we're out there, we're trading ideas, we're discussing different plans, we're thinking the same as we're having the same ideas at the same time, and then we're looking at each other going, we need to do that. And
exactly,
we're doing it, which is really good.
In fact, I don't know, there was a couple of instances already on social media where people actually thought that you and I are the same person. It's phenomenal.
Well,
I had
you
someone...
need to wear your glasses, and then quite literally we are one and the same person.
Yeah, I had someone referring to me as Aaron on one of the comments. I love that.
You should just say it's not Aaron, it's not Con, it's Conron.
It's Conron. It's
Conron. That is how we are known.
Love that.
Exactly that.
Yes.
So good. So what in terms of the work we're doing then, if you just think some of our client campaigns, some of the stuff we're doing right now, just give us a little insight. What is some of the latest things that you're doing for some of our clients? I always like to just share a bit of that in terms of what are some of the stuff we're doing.
Yeah.
We're busy preparing the summer campaigns, stuff like that. What are you working on this week?
Well, with the nature of the clients that we work with, especially with the home, garden, and lifestyle, I think at the moment quite a few of our garden clients, they really ramping up just about everything, because obviously they are going to a hot season. Things are going well for just about everybody, which is brilliant. But
the sun's come out. That's why.
Sun's come out, exactly. Yes, even though it was a little bit sort of dreary. So we did have a couple of challenging weeks, but nothing to be worried about, because we know that's exactly what we can expect. And so what I've been working on is just constant reviews, making sure that actually we are getting that ROAS up and the conversion values are coming through. And in this quite a challenging period of UK economy, even though we know that we are coming out of recession, people are still a little bit apprehensive towards spending money, and it's good to see that our clients are seeing the difference. So yes, review upon review, and obviously, just making sure that things are ticking along really well. And actually, the team were very busy as well, onboarding some new clients, which is fantastic. We've been reviewing a number of accounts, which is again another sign that we are coming out of recession.
Yeah, I think we are.
So
I think
it's
the
really
signs that, the event I was at this week that I was speaking at, talking to a lot of agency and other business owners, there is a real positivity coming back. I think there's been there's the consensus seems to be it's been tough. It's been it's been hard. We've had a hard year, but there definitely seems to be green shoots, to use a great analogy. But there definitely seems to be positivity in the air from people I'm speaking to, agency side, client side. There seems to be that positivity. Things are looking good. We're liking this, which is great. And I
Things are
think,
improving.
I mean, you know, that we're in terms of what I've been doing. Recruiting. We've been recruiting. We've been recruiting, haven't we? There you go. You
nearly forgot about that, actually. Yes,
I mean, it was about a week ago. But no,
yeah.
we've been busy recruiting. So we'll be sharing that with you very soon.
Yes.
But we've been recruiting. Yeah, we've been doing all sorts of recruitment. So we've already found one or two people. We've got one or two more people that we're aiming to find. I'll tell you what.
Really
what
exciting.
I've also been doing in the last week or two is lots of traveling. We've obviously, you and I have had 1 or 2 days out. Darren and I went all the way up to Leeds very recently. So we a combination of driving and then train all the way up to Leeds just to meet a prospective client. It's great. And we're, you know, again, it's just so, I think getting FaceTime with prospective clients is so valuable. It's just great.
Actually, this one, that makes me think about good old, you know, COVID situation from a couple of years ago. Do you remember when people just were so absolutely excited about the fact that they can work from home and they just can do all that stuff online? But in fact, for so many people, like for myself, for example, I started suffering from a bit of a box room isolation, if that makes sense. And actually just coming out, seeing people, just almost basking other people's energy is so conducive for your own well-being, isn't it?
The prospective client that we went to see, they loved the fact that we went there, that we made that we took the time and the effort to actually go and physically shake their hand, see the product, touch the product, feel the product. They loved the fact that we went there, and we found it so useful, and we were able to extract so much more information that we needed to know just by meeting them, but just by having those chats, you know, quite literally over the coffee machine chats that you just don't get if you're just on a Teams call or Zoom call.
So, exactly. It's different energy,
whatever your business, whatever you think, if you take the time to go physically meet people, it's such a no-brainer. It's so good. So look, so it's been a busy week, but here we are today back doing our podcast, which we just love to do. It's the highlights of our week, and we've got a fantastic guest today. So Hannah, she's waiting in the wings, so I don't want to keep her waiting much longer. I want to get her on. As I said at the top, so Hannah runs or is the communications HR director at Perrywood Garden Centres. Which are garden centres? I know. I've been there. I've been to the garden centres. They're down in my old neck of the woods. Fantastic. There are 2 garden centres down there. Really nice. And by the information Hannah's provided, they're doing really well as a business. So do you want to just run us through them before we get Hannah on? Do you want to just run us through a little bit about the business and the challenges? So do you want to give us top line? What is Perrywood in terms of their revenue, their team?
Yeah, love that little setup. So I say little setup. So Hannah runs a business which is 7 figures. So they are on £1.25 million a month revenue, and she's got a team of 2 to 3 people
in the marketing department specifically.
Yes.
And we said in the little pre-chat chat that the business in total doing about 15 million, over 15 million in total turnover. So really established business, doing some great stuff, and as their small little communications marketing team. Let's get into those challenges. That's what we're going to be talking about on today's episode. So what is Hannah's number one challenge that she's put in the application?
Yeah, and we see that all across the garden centres. I think it's quite interesting. So essentially driving footfall into the garden centres outside of peak season. Well, not just in peak season, but just all year round. She has got another challenge as well, which is knowing and estimating how much to spend on marketing and whether or not what they are spending is enough, where to get that extra ROI from, would an extra spend help, and so on. So it's a very interesting challenge.
That is a great question, actually, because how many brands do we talk to where they just don't know, are they spending too much on marketing? Are they spending too little? How to judge the returns? So that's a great one. We can get into that. That's going to be really good. Any other marketing challenges?
Well, the third one, which is a challenge that essentially we also have got as well. So how to keep up with the changes across platforms, algorithms, and so on, and essentially just stay in the know and where to focus the marketing efforts.
Yeah, I mean that one, the keeping up with the changes. I mean, we do this stuff every day, and we struggle with that. So I can't imagine how Hannah and her team are doing it. It's definitely a challenge. That is a big challenge. And I think that's a recurring one we see as well. So what marketing platforms is Hannah and the team using now?
Predominantly Meta ads, and at the moment Google Ads are being paused, even though they were being used in the past because of some internal changes. But on top of that, Hannah's business also runs a loyalty program. She's got 35,000 subscribers to a mailing list, and also they are constantly pinging app notifications to the users.
Fantastic. And marketing spend currently?
Around £200,000 a year.
That includes salaries.
That's including salaries.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Good stuff. Where does Hannah want the business to be in 1 year?
Well, in 1 year, they would like to keep the turnover up in pace with the inflation, and continue to grow within the area, but also higher brand awareness, and just increase that brand awareness outside of the core customer base.
Yeah, I mean, we talk to a lot of brands in this exact space, garden centres, and very similar.
Yes.
And I think the recurring theme that we hear a lot is, how do I engage audience outside of that core, so outside of that classic demographic that you would think that go to garden centres? How do I engage typically a younger demographic, and increase that footfall both online and offline into those garden centres? And that's why we're talking to garden centres that are increasingly becoming much more rounded offerings. So not just the products, but it's cafeterias, it's all sorts of other things that are being bolted on increasingly so into garden centres to try and engage that younger demographic. So that's going to be fascinating to get into that. I'm looking forward to that. What does the business look like when it's finished?
This one is literally, it's like one of the best answers we've ever had on the pod. So what Hannah would like to achieve is that everyone in Essex and Suffolk has so many plants that she's out of business, that no one needs Hannah and Perrywood anymore.
Okay, right, there you go.
It's a very nice challenge. It's a very nice sort of vision to have. I absolutely love that.
It is. And were there any additional questions? Anything else that we need to make sure we cover off today?
So as Hannah's business is not predominantly an e-commerce business, she was wondering how she can sort of go into that space, and how she can sell more products and just increase that footfall.
Yeah, I think it's going to be more of a sort of a click and collect rather than a pure transaction. But also, even outside of transacting online, if it's what can you do? I suppose what can you do? We can get into what they can do digitally to increase that visibility, even if you're not trying to sell. Just to, as I say, it's that brand awareness piece. So we can get into that.
Yes, and Hannah also would like to know how she can measure the success of her paid media campaigns.
Oh, well, I think that one we can cover that. I think we can
confidently
confidently answer that one, don't we? So that's good. We can definitely, Hannah, if you listen to the wings, we can definitely answer that one for you. So there you go. It's going to be a fascinating conversation, this one. Great garden centre, great garden centres, should I say?
Centres, yes.
Great business, but got some challenges. So should we get her on?
Absolutely, yes. Let's get Hannah on the show.
Are you there?
I am here.
You are. There you go. As if by magic. Amazing. Well, Hannah, thank you so much for joining us on the Grow with Evergreen pod. We're delighted to have you on. Did we do justice as that little run through there, that little prelude? Did we pretty much summarise everything well?
Absolutely. Yeah, that sounded great.
Brilliant. Good. Well, do you want to just give us 30 seconds? Who are you? What's your business? Just give us a little overview of Perrywood, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, sure. So we're a family-run business. I run it with my dad and my two brothers. And we've got two sites. We've got two garden centres. The kind of original one, Perrywood Tiptree, which has been in my family since the 1950s. And then Perrywood Sudbury, which is our newer garden centre, took that over from Wyvale in 2018. So that's 5 years old.
Wow. So was it your dad that started this originally then?
My grandparents. So it was very small. It was a 4-acre small holding, growing potatoes, strawberries, things like that. And then Mum and Dad took it over in 1984.
Year I was born?
1984 for kind of 20, 30 years. They literally put on growth, every year.
Yes.
So
amazing. And when did you get the second site then? When was that?
So that was 2018, end of 2018.
Okay. All right. Amazing. And so the first one is in Tiptree and the second one is in?
Sudbury and Suffolk.
Okay, right, grand, perfect.
Just over the border.
Yes. Yeah. As I say, we were down in your neck of the woods only a few days ago.
Wow.
Yeah. So there we go. We should have popped in, shouldn't we? Should have had a cup of tea. So just to paint us a picture, Hannah. So in terms of the setups of the garden centres, what have you got? What we're sort of alluding to in terms of what's within each of the garden centres? You'll just paint us a bit of a picture.
Yeah. So our kind of vision as a company is to inspire people to get more plants in their lives. So both centres are very plant focused. So we've got really good plant areas and really sizable. compared to a lot of garden centres. And then at Tiptree, we've also got a large kind of indoor lifestyle gift shop. Um, got, all the normal things you'd expect, garden sundries, and then we've got a coffee shop and restaurant, and then we've also got a second catering offering. So we've got the greenhouse cafe, which is a more casual kind of offering where you can sit in the bedding plant greenhouse, surrounded by plants, having your
Sounds
coffee and
idyllic,
cake.
doesn't
It's
it?
Yeah,
delightful.
it's
Yeah,
lovely.
it's
It's
Yeah.
very
lovely.
nice.
Is that the same at both sites?
So Sudbury is smaller.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much in a growth phase. So Tiptree, we've kind of plateaued. Sounds negative, but we're kind of at the limits of the
Mm.
business. We've extended the car park last year, but we're kind of maximising what we can do in terms of turnover per square metre there.
Right.
Sudbury is very much in growth, so we've grown the turnover a lot since we took it over, but we're hoping to expand further.
Have
So it hasn't got the indoor retail space at
Okay.
Sudbury
Okay.
yet.
That's
Hopefully
coming soon.
next year that will come. So that will be an interesting kind of marketing challenge in itself, kind of
Okay.
growing that there.
Mm.
So it's kind of what we say is it's kind of like a smaller version of Perrywood Tiptree. Still got the passion, the plants, the amazing team, but not got as much kind of indoor retail space.
Gotcha. What sort of size in terms of acreage? What sort of size are these are both centres?
So Perrywood Tiptree, we've got 22 acres, but that does include Perry's Wood, which is where the name came from, which is next door to the site. Kind of, it's a lovely backdrop to our plant area. Perrywood Sudbury is actually 35 acres, but the majority of that is yet to be developed. They also had there's a production nursery there that was mothballed by Wyvale, and we're slowly bringing some of that back into production.
Okay. Good
Yeah, I
stuff.
was actually going to ask if you've got nursery attached to it because that's such a
Yeah.
fantastic opportunity.
Yeah, so at Perrywood Tiptree, we've got a production nursery. We grow around 1 million plants a year. We grow all our own bedding
Oh,
plants,
nice.
just for our own garden centres. So we have our own kind of Perrywood grown kind of range of bedding plants. That's a big kind of selling point for us.
Fantastic. I love that. So the team that does the marketing, the communications, what does that look like? What's that made up of?
Yeah, sure. So I've got a senior. Start again. I've got a senior communications manager.
Mm-hmm.
Who's full time, and then I've got a marketing officer who's also full time, and then we've got a few other kind of office administrators, but they're mainly working on the kind of point of sale, the labelling, all of those kind of things. So
Gotcha.
it's really the two that will be covering campaigns like this.
Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. So the first challenge you put in was driving footfall. Do you want to just expand on that a little bit? What is that challenge? Yeah, give us a little bit more on that.
Yeah, so we sometimes you just get the footfall. So, in the spring, the sun shines, people come out because they're in their gardens. They think about, oh, I need some plants, I need a barbecue, I need a garden furniture. They come out. And we always have this period, kind of March, April, May, June, where at the start of the season, everyone's waiting. The whole industry, I'm sure you know this from your other
Yes,
clients,
yeah.
they're just waiting.
Yep.
When's the sun going to shine? When's it going to be warm? Actually, March was not too bad this year. April then went a bit dreary. May has been a bit mixed, so we're always waiting. May can be the kind of biggest month on kind of peak gardening, if you like. But if you get bad weather, you can just lose sales that you never catch up. So that's always a challenge. At Tiptree, it's easier because we've got larger indoor retail space and we've got bigger restaurant, so you can still capitalize if it's not great weather.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have another peak in kind of November with our amazing Christmas displays. So we have a fantastic Christmas shop, and our visual merchandisers do amazing themed displays every year. And no matter what promotion we do in September and October, really people only want to start shopping in earnest in November. So the first 2 weeks of November, once Halloween is out the way and they've done their trick or treating or whatever, we have a crazy 2 weekends.
Right. Okay.
And we've done lots of different things to try and get people in earlier. We've done early bird offers and all sorts of things, but we just find those 2 weekends is when everyone wants to come in and the car park's full, and so it's kind of, we've got these kind of natural peaks, and then around that we can also have peaks depending on the weather and different things, but it's how you can kind of smooth it out, I suppose.
So I guess the question becomes, what marketing activity are you actually doing to drive that footfall right now? If we get an understanding of that, then we can give you some ideas in terms of what else you might be able to do.
So absolutely. So our loyalty program, which we launched last September, you mentioned, it's called Bloom,
Mm-hmm.
and that's very new to us. So we're actually in a phase of transition. So prior to that, we were using meta ads and some advertising, although over the last kind of 5 years, we've reduced the actual print advertising that we're doing. I think we do one publication now, which is the National Garden Scheme,
Right.
Open Gardens brochure, and we've removed all of the others. We do a lot of community things out in the community. So, sending out raffle prizes, got nominated charities we do lots of things for, plants for local hospitals, things like that. So we're kind of in the press a reasonable amount around things like that, winning awards and, all of those kind of things.
Right.
So then we launch our loyalty program, and actually we're beginning to see some real successes of that. So now that we've got a membership of 35,000 plus, we've got we can go to that group of customers who are already loyal to the business, they're already shopping with us, and we can just encourage them to maybe put in an extra visit or encourage them to spend more when they're here through some of the initiatives that we're doing, whether it's a spend driver or a competition, or just some of the amazing offers
Yes.
that
Yeah.
are only
Yeah.
available if you're a member. So that's working really well, and actually as a result we're kind of pulled back a bit from the meta ads, which I mean we're spending peanuts probably compared to a lot of your clients on that.
Give us an idea of what you are spending.
I knew you were going to ask that, and I actually don't know, which sounds terrible.
Are we talking
doesn't it?
hundreds or hundreds of pounds a month or thousands of pounds a month?
Oh, hundreds.
Hundreds,
Okay,
right.
all right.
If that,
Okay.
yeah, it's kind of it's not very much. And I suppose one of the things we're just kind of doesn't feel like it does a lot sometimes.
Right. Okay. I mean,
So it's kind of hard to know what to do. Whereas with the loyalty program, we can see the results of it
yeah.
much more easily.
And
So
what's the
it feels like better
capacity?
value.
So in terms of with everything you're doing, then, if you had to look at the where are you in terms of capacity for what you are currently achieving in terms of footfall versus what you would ideally like to be seeing?
I think that's the tricky thing. In certain months, there's not much capacity, but in other months, there's a lot of capacity. And again, if it's raining, you've got more capacity, but then the sun comes out and the car park's full. But I now that we've got 80 extra spaces at Tiptree, so
Right.
the kind of bottleneck that we had before that, with when certain weekends, people queued down the road, I think we've got rid of that. But I also wouldn't want to go crazy on the marketing. In terms of Sudbury, they're kind of where they need to be this year. But once we expand next year, we will need to ramp that up. But again, we don't want to do it too soon because the car park is going to struggle. So, yeah, it's always difficult. And incidentally, when I came back into the business in around 2010, I was kind of told, what's your marketing budget? Well, we don't know, and how many people should we get?
Yes. Yeah.
And because we were always in growth, and because we've got this amazing word of mouth, I haven't really ever had to work too hard at marketing.
Yeah.
Like, we do a really good job in the centres. We've focused our efforts the last 10 years on making sure the in-store experience is really amazing. So, lots of QR codes to information, how-to stuff,
Yes. Yeah.
loads of,
Yeah.
amazing signage, making sure it's really fantastic experience so that people come back, and the word of mouth and that kind of thing. I think with the expansion at Perrywood and with other different factors, we're now having to kind of think, okay, we need to be a bit smarter about our marketing. We can't kind of rely on that approach.
Yeah. Well, I mean that is where. I mean, I know you mentioned in your application that you're doing some Meta, and then Google has been turned off. But I think that's where, from a paid media and marketing perspective, I think there's huge opportunities here, particularly
Incredible.
because with both the centres, with this, it's so localized, isn't it?
It's incredibly localized. It was going to be my next question, actually. So have you ever done any data analysis to see how far your customers are coming from?
Yes, so we can do that. We can see where our loyalty members are
Yes,
coming
yeah. What's that
from,
tell
and it
you?
is. So I haven't. I looked at the end of last year.
Hmm.
I'm due to look again, but they are coming. So we have our kind of core that's within maybe a 20-minute drive of each centre that are kind of coming very regularly.
Yep.
But our customer base extends into the kind of east of London, the whole of Essex, the whole of Suffolk, into Norfolk. We capture actually a lot of people that maybe live in London and have got second
Hmm.
homes in Suffolk, so they'll come down the A12 and stop off at Perrywood because we're only 5 minutes from that main
Sure.
road. And we even had some people spending quite a lot of money that were living all around the country. And the way to explain that is that a lot of people, grew up in this area and then move away. And every time they
Ah,
come back to
okay.
visit friends and
Yes, yeah.
family, they always come into Perrywood. And I'm the same, when my brother-in-law and his partner come and visit, they always like to come and visit in November and go to the
Yeah.
amazing Christmas
Well, it's a
shops. So
tradition, isn't it? It's
you know,
tradition. Yeah,
it's a
yeah, no, it
tradition,
makes sense.
exactly. So there's a lot of kind of ritual, and we go every year. We
Yes,
do
yeah.
this,
No.
and also the very regular. I mean, we have some customers that come in virtually every day to, to use the coffee
Yeah.
shop. So there's a real range.
Before we go any further, are you enjoying today's episode? If so, you'll love our other show, Tea Talks. They're short, informal chats where the Evergreen experts and I share actionable nuggets on all things paid media, creative, and digital strategy that we use daily when growing our clients' businesses. And best of all, much like this podcast, it's completely free. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, see the link in the description. Now, let's get back to it. I think that from a targeted, I think the loyalty scheme is a no-brainer.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
leveraging that email list is another massive advocate of doing that.
Yeah.
I think for targeted increasing that brand visibility, which was a recurring theme when we were talking in the pre-chat is increasing that brand awareness and just being top of mind.
Yes.
I think that's where paid social, so Meta, which is Facebook, Instagram, particularly with your target market, I think Meta is a no-brainer.
Absolutely.
Because you can target it so locally.
Yeah,
What are your thoughts, Con?
You can target not only target locally, but actually you can also leverage that data so much so that you will be able to just go out and try and attract new audience as well. Because if you create just a remarketing campaign for your 35,000 members, they will obviously see it, so you will be on top of their minds all the time. But then you can use their profiles to create lookalike audiences and just remarket to other people, or keep marketing to other people. So I think data and the amount of data you've got is probably one of the biggest levers you can pull at this point.
Yeah, but I think, and then it's going to come down with Meta. The key with Meta, what we're talking to all of the clients we're working with now, in this and similar spaces, is it's the creative, isn't it?
Creative,
the creative,
absolutely, yes.
For you, I think what would really resonate is: have you ever done any videos, any sort of video work? Because I think that could be really showing off this, the actual garden centres, a little tour, sped up. That could be really impactful.
We have done that. Yeah, we have done that on Insta and Facebook. And what works really well for us is the little sped up videos of some of our displays
I bet exactly
being put together.
That's perfect. That's the sort of stuff, exactly. And if you're targeting within a set geographic area, that's going to be a very cost-effective way of doing it. And in terms of what you mentioned about, it's difficult to track and difficult to measure. It ultimately is going to depend on the goals, because obviously if you're at e-commerce, you can track revenue and return on investment. So if it's more a case of service but driving footfall to a store, then again you're going to have to measure it on it depends on the type of campaign you set up.
Yes.
But it's going to be that increased visibility. You can obviously incentivize that. So maybe if you have coupon codes, discounts, there are actions you can get people to take on your website, which would run off the back of an ad. So it might be you've got to download something, or you've got to click here to get something, some voucher or some code,
or have a dedicated landing page, for example.
Exactly. So there's lots of ways you can get creative. You can get creative with how you can track and measure it. It's going to come down to the goal at the end of the day.
Just very quickly and ultimately, you will be able to see the result just by seeing how much more money in the till you've got. Because essentially, when we look at the numbers, we can give you all the numbers of the engagement and reach and all that good stuff. But then ultimately, you will be able to see whether that has translated into extra spend in the garden centers or not.
And the great thing with all of the pay, whether it's paid social, or paid search. The great thing with this is you can turn it on and turn it off. You
Yes.
can dial it up, you can dial it down. So a
Okay.
lot of our other brands we're working where summer is peak. What's great is we can dial it up. So a lot of our clients will track based on seasonality.
Yes, they will. Yes.
And in terms of what they are forecasting, maybe based on previous years. And so they can forecast ahead to think, do you know what, we only want to spend 5% of our budget or whatever their commercials say, but we can forecast that and we can dial it up. And if you can be very reactive, if you've got your creative there and you've got your campaigns built, you can be very reactive. So for some of our clients, they'll quite literally, the sun will shine, we will dial it up because we know there'll be that increased demand. And it means with social, so with Meta, you can be incredibly reactive, can't you?
Yeah,
to
you
what's
can.
happening.
So also with this in mind, what you can do is you can build a bit of a pre-event anticipation, if that makes sense. So for example, if you've got anything running around Halloween or Christmas, you can always start building those campaigns essentially as a brand awareness and just as a communication piece, if you like. And then when the time comes, let's say 2 weeks away from the actual event, you then go into a sales mode. So really, there is just way of sort of stacking it up and just leveraging that data and then just being very creative with your campaigns that you are pushing out.
Hannah, are you uploading your customer list, those 35,000 emails, are you uploading those into Meta Ads to give you a customer list to retarget towards or not?
No.
That's a no-brainer. Do that.
Absolutely.
I didn't even know you could
so
do
if
that.
you've got 35 people that have essentially previously transacted with you, maybe they've registered in some way, they're customers or they've at least shown an interest in the brand. You can take that as long as it's first party data. So as long as it's people that have given you, willingly given you their details, you haven't pulled it from some third party. You can take that data, you can upload it into Meta, into Google, and then you can show ads and say, only show my ad to these people, or as Con said earlier, to people that are similar to these people. You can use it for learning. That's a very, very powerful thing. And the great thing about that is you're only spending money to the people that you know of Perrywood. So you're not spending it on Joe Public that maybe don't know you, but you're actually saying, I only want to show my ad to these people that have previously been in store, that have previously visited, they've previously purchased. Hugely powerful thing. We do retargeting, which is what that is. We do that for every single one of our clients.
Exactly that. And also just on top of that, to what Aaron said, what you could do is you've got one main campaign that is essentially geared up towards these people, but then you can create another smaller campaign, almost like a brand awareness campaign that is based off of that audience. So create another audience, which essentially is your prospecting campaign. And that's how you run them in parallel.
Yeah, really, and it's really these are really simple to set up. The key is the setting up. You can set these things up. Then obviously it's the creative, which I said. I think the video, what you just said earlier, I think video is a great way of just bringing it to life. Is it particularly garden centre? Because as you say, a nursery, it's so visually appealing.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
One of the problems we have is actually choosing.
Well, I can imagine. It's a good problem to
do you know
have,
what I
isn't
mean?
it?
Some brands are searching around for stuff. We've got loads, and actually one of the things that does best is videos of our robins.
There you go. Exactly. It doesn't surprise me at all. That is perfect. So you're sitting on a gold mine, and I think, right as you say, one of the key, go use that retargeting, and that also works with Google. And I just want to, I'm very conscious of time, so I just want to go through and make sure we cover off all of this. So you said you've paused Google. Just give us, what was the reason for pausing Google, and what were you doing with the Google ads?
So we were spending a fairly small amount on those ads, and it was mainly for Perrywood Sudbury because it was a newer business. We felt we needed to establish the brand in that area. So it was really awareness. So it was lots of different. We had several different creatives. Some around plants, some around the coffee shop. Seasonal, etc. But at the moment we have 2 different websites for the 2 different businesses, whereas we're actually commissioning a new website at the moment that's going to consolidate them into one website. And we've got weird things going on where if you want to buy a voucher, it takes you to a different website, and if you want to buy a ticket, something it buys you. And it's all going to come together, and it's be integrated with our loyalty program. It's going to be much
Sounds good. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
So we were like, actually, we don't want to be sending people to a website that's not going to exist.
Yeah, of course.
In 6 months' time. So we said, actually, let's pause it and then do a bit of research and come back with some campaigns when we've got that better website, and then we can do brand awareness for both centres, because a lot of people actually shop at both. So they might do their weekly shop at Sudbury, but they'll come to Tiptree because it's bigger. And obviously, as Sudbury grows, that will change the kind of dynamic
Sure.
again.
Okay,
So,
well,
yeah.
that makes sense in terms of
Perfect
why
sense, absolutely.
you're not running Google Ads. And much like with Meta,
Mhm.
I think Google Ads has a role to play. You can localize that. I think creative's key. The big thing to just be mindful of with Google Ads, and same with Bing Ads, is there's search intent.
Yes.
This is key. So with social advertising, the real power of that comes in the retargeting, because
Yep.
you're essentially saying they've shown an interest, they've raised their hand and said, look, I'm interested in this, or I've previously purchased, therefore you want to get in front of them again. With Google, if you're running search ads, they are actively searching.
Yeah.
So they are looking. So if someone's going on, I'm looking for a garden centre near me, or they're looking to go and buy plants, or they
Yes.
want to find the local
Yep.
nursery,
You want to
you need
capitalize on
to
that
be
interest that's already
they're
there.
already
Yep.
looking. They're already saying, look, I'm interested in this. I am
Mhm.
actively looking for this. And it's going to be, if you think of your customer avatar, it is going to be someone on a beautiful weekend. The sun's come out. Oh, we need to go. We want to pop to the local
Yes,
nursery.
exactly. And just a very quick idea as well here. So if you run events in your garden centers, you can promote them
Mhm.
the same way, because then people are going to be searching for things to do with kids, things to do with kids when it's raining and stuff like that. And essentially, if it's hyper localized,
Yep.
you can very easily just get that traffic traffic with intent straight to your website. And then,
Mhm.
even if they have not converted there and then your meta kicks in with remarketing or
There you go.
retargeting,
Yeah.
and then they
Yeah, got you.
constantly are in the you are constantly in the peripherals.
It's like a funnel, isn't it?
It is a
We
funnel,
often
yeah.
a really simple
Yep.
way we often
Yep.
think about it is we use Google for prospecting. So just when someone's raised their hand and
Yes.
said, I'm interested in this, we want to say, great, here's our ad, here's what we're doing, etc., etc. Then Meta can retarget them to keep the brand top of mind. I think
Yeah.
Con raises a really,
Yeah.
really important point there with the Google ads. That one of the key things as well to remember with the Google ads is the audiences. So you have, again, if you didn't know the Meta, you might not know on the Google, but you want to be targeting how people that are searching. So you can do research. It's quite easy. You can look at your own data and it will tell you how people search. So some people typically
Yep.
for this sector, because we know it really well, a lot of people will put in what they're looking for. So
Yes.
I'm looking for a garden center, a
Mhm.
nursery, etc. A lot of people will
Yep.
put in what they're looking for, and they'll add it nearby, close, near, all of those they localize it. And then other people will put in maybe some brands. Some people will put in brand, particularly because you've got that heritage. So the way you want to structure, the most cost-effective way to structure your ad account, any Google ads that you run, and we can send this to you afterwards, but the most cost-effective way to do it will be to have a brand campaign where you're bidding on your brand terms. So Perrywood Garden Centres, of which there's a lot of search, because
Yes. Yeah, that's what we
yeah,
were doing
that makes
before.
sense,
Yep.
because
Yep.
that is
Yep.
people that know you, they're searching for you, and there
Yep.
won't be, one would assume, any others bidding on that. So your cost
No,
per
that's right.
click will
Yep.
be tiny.
Yep.
Great. We'll take those
Mhm.
clicks all day long because they're going to be really cost effective. But
Yep.
what we want to do is we want to isolate those searches in their own right, because then separately we want to have another campaign that is for people that aren't searching for you by brand, but are still looking for what it is you do, i.e. garden centre,
Mhm.
nursery. So you can have a separate campaign. What you want to do to
Yep.
really ramp that thing up, obviously you put the localization on it, so you're only targeted in a set area. And I would also encourage you, a good test that we do for a lot of our clients that are localized, is you can set your localized banding. So you might do a 5-mile radius, and then a 10-mile
Mhm.
radius, and then a 20-mile radius, and so on. And the great thing about doing it, if you do it in that way,
Okay.
is you can essentially split test, and you can go, what level of return, what level of clicks, what level
Yep.
of visibility do we get within 5 miles? What do we get within 10 miles? And so on. And that's a great way to see, actually, I'm getting the best return or the greatest number of clicks at the most effect, the best cost
Mhm.
within the 10-mile radius, not the 5-mile radius, or whatever it tells you. Really interesting, very simple to execute. Something we do for all of our brands that are localized.
Yes.
The other key thing, audiences. So within the back end of Google ads, when you come to set this up, you have the option to not only base it on what they're searching for, but you can actually tailor it to kind of build almost a customer avatar
Yes.
within the data
Who
based
they are.
on their demographics,
Yeah.
who they are, where they are, what they're doing. You kind of build it's not as good as it once was a few years ago,
No.
but you still have lots of options to be able
Okay.
to really build out a really good understanding of who that customer avatar is. And it just makes the targeting so much crisper, doesn't it? So much better.
Absolutely. And actually, just thinking about your data, Hannah, I think you are sitting on a gold mine. You really do, because it's the 35,000 contacts that at the moment are not earning you any money unless they come into the shop. But actually, how are you going to get them in? You know, it's one of those. And I think with this amount of data, you can really create some robust campaigns.
Yeah. So I think I mean, it's, you know, great creative. You've got that, I mean, quite literally in front of you. So I think that is a no-brainer. Taking that, and we've done, I don't know if you've seen any of our Tea Talks, Hannah, but we've done Tea Talks where we've talked about exactly this premise of the videos you create don't have to be super polished, do they? Actually, some of them that are a bit recorded on your phone, a bit.
We were talking about that the other day and saying, "Oh, should we get someone in?" I was like, "Oh, I
don't
think
think
we
you need
could
to
just do it
initially.
ourselves."
No,
It's not the quality these days on your phone.
The quality, and I think
fine,
people often like that rough around the edges.
Bit
I think,
more
yeah,
homespun,
I think people that really resonates, particularly on the platform. It depends on obviously the goal. It depends on if you're on TikTok, you know, it can work really well. Instagram,
TikTok and Instagram stories, it's fantastic.
It works really well, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It really does. And if you have got like very specific campaign that you really want to be more polished, a brand awareness campaign, by all means, you know, you might want to seek out some more professional sort of setup. But for quick stuff, you can just very quickly just, you know, whip your phone out, just record quick 15-20 second long video and just post it all over the place.
Yeah. So I think in terms of the overarching theme of what we wanted to really get into today was that increasing that brand awareness, you know, building up that second site and increasing outside of those core customers. And I think you've got your loyalty program, which sounds like a no-brainer. I think the consolidation of the websites, brilliant.
Yes.
You also mentioned in the pre-chat chat about the plan to do the click and collect. What was that?
Yeah, so it's quite hard to use your website as a shop window if you haven't got any product on there. So one of the things we were considering was, you know, higher value items like furniture, barbecue, or maybe curating a small range for some of the departments so that people, and I think a lot of people won't travel somewhere unless they know that product they want is in stock. So we're probably missing out because we don't do that. You know, a lot of the other retailers, you know, you don't go unless you know the jumper you want is already sat there in a parcel for you. So it's just kind of, it's something we're looking at the moment.
And will that, if that happens, will that be part of the new website? That's part of what you're going to bring in.
Yeah. So so the platform, it's a Shopify platform, so it will have the functionality.
I think because I think there's two parts to that, isn't there? What's interesting with that is there's two ways to think about that. Actually, on the one hand, you could think about people that are maybe going to search and want to check that you sell that product before going, but then there's others that will go, maybe see the product and then want to look at it afterwards because they maybe want to go home, measure it, will it fit and stuff like that.
Yes.
So, you know, that is a really interesting way to think about that. And again, it comes back to that retargeting, because if you're actively, I mean, I know you're obviously doing your email marketing as well. That's another string to this bow, but that's quite, I think that's a really good thing. I think it's
fantastic.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it that way around.
I think that's really powerful with the right marketing. That could be a great way to increase that average customer value and to just get those people that they've been in store. I think often the problem we see with a lot of garden centres is they don't, they think of the offline customer as being very separate to the online customer because often they don't transact online. But I think most people, a good proportion of people will, as well as visiting the store, at some point they will visit the website and they will use it as part of that that buying experience, that research phase, and if you can capture them and show them the product and then incentivize them with, you can get this, you can click and collect. I think that's a no-brainer. I think it's a great idea.
Just to add to this point, I think, and it's a brilliant point, I absolutely love it. But just to add to it, I think whenever I go to a garden center, I go for an experience. If I want to buy things, I go online.
It's true. It's true.
And
it's
then
true.
if you think about it as an infinity loop, if you like, you know, you can just, you know, I can go to garden center, then I see something, then I can go online. And you know, my intention initially is just to kill some time with my family, right? But then if something really grabbed me and I want to go into the research mode because I want to buy it, I then go online, and that will automatically sort of drive me back into your website because I'm like, okay, so I saw it there.
Yeah.
You know,
that's the first place you're going to start, isn't it?
That's the first place you're going to start.
And if you know it's available. And it's, you know, and then if you're capturing their data when they're in store, if they register their interest, you know, you can follow up. Maybe you can incentivize with a little discount, stuff like that. There's lots of ways that's really powerful, because I would do the same. I would, garden centres are increasingly becoming, leisure destinations. They're
Yeah.
days out, aren't they?
Yeah. But we don't charge ticket
No,
admission,
no.
and
No, no.
that's the challenge, I think, for our industry is we want beautiful centres that people want to come into, but you have to make
Exactly
money
that.
from them.
Exactly
Exactly
that.
that.
You
Yeah,
know,
Yes.
you
yeah.
haven't got a
Yeah.
£20 admission
But
fee
that's
like
it.
a
And I
zoo
think
does
that
or
Con's
whatever.
point is so spot on, because if you think,
Yeah.
how many people are there, they might see a beautiful table and chairs, think that's amazing. But if you can actually capture their data and then say, but you can do a click and collect on this, you can come back afterwards, that is a great way to, okay, you're not buying it today, but you might buy it tomorrow.
Yeah, especially if thinking about that, when you've got your loyalty program, and if they, for example, scan the app or however else you record it, you can then very quickly just sort of switch it up in Shopify in a way that they will then receive automatically an email based on the receipt that was generated, saying that
Yep.
this is what you bought, and just remarket similar products to them at the same time. So if, for example, someone came in and purchased
Okay.
a nice little rattan garden settee, you might want to remarket to them a new barbecue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's clever. Yep.
I want to
No,
move
that's
on
really
to your
clever. Yep.
questions. I'm just conscious of time,
Yes.
so I want to move on to a couple of the questions.
Yes,
No,
sorry.
it's good. This is great. We could talk all day. So one of the key questions, the question that you asked that really stood out to me was, how can we measure the success of our Pamela campaigns? And that's one I thought we could answer fairly well.
Yes.
So, firstly, Hannah, what did you mean by that? Was there something? Just expand on that as a question, and then we'll get into answering it.
I think just when you haven't done much of anything and you're kind of
Sure.
dabbling at the edges, and it's just like, how do you know what to spend? How do you know it's been successful compared to other things? It's that holy grail in marketing, isn't it? How, I used to work in PR agency, and I'd spend hours cutting out newspaper
Yes.
articles and spray
Yes.
mounting them to boards, for the clients.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is back in the day,
Yep.
the 2000s. But so it is that kind
It's
of,
proving the why,
what
isn't it?
what is there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
exactly.
it's such a great question, and it's one that we find ourselves answering daily, isn't it? And
Yes.
it all comes down to the commercial objective. So the way we would frame that, the way we typically answer it, is we would say to you, well, what are we trying to achieve? What you don't want to do with social, and I think what sometimes people, particularly if you're only starting relatively small, dipping your toe in the water, is, well, we'll just dabble, we'll just go in and we'll just have a little play with
Mm,
Meta or Google.
mm,
That's not going to work. So I think what you need
okay.
to do is actually look at the business. Where is the business today? What we always say is, where's the business today? Paint a picture of what the business looks like today, and then think, what are we trying to achieve over the next year, 2, 3, and so on. Really have a clear idea of what success looks like. And one of the key things, which we'll send you after we finish today, is we have a core concept called the backbone of digital marketing, which I'm going to send to you. It's a guide. It's a video series. Within that,
Okay.
we encourage brands, whatever the product, whatever the service, the sector is, we say, look, when you're thinking about your growth, particularly your direct to consumer, so your kind of your online growth, increasing that brand visibility, you don't want to become overly reliant on any one channel. But so you've got to understand what makes up your visibility right now. So for Perrywood, what we would want you to understand is, how good is the brand visibility? How reliant is Perrywood on its brand visibility right now? So for us, the backbone is traffic and visibility that we are buying. So what we're buying is Meta ads, Google ads. It's all of the advertising we're buying in. It's then the traffic that we own. So how much of the visibility, the traffic, all of that do we own? By own, I mean direct. So it's people that know you, they're returning, they're coming back, they're repeat visiting the website. Then how much are we nurturing? So by nurturing, that is your loyalty program. That is your email subscribers.
Yeah.
What value are we getting from that, the traffic that we are nurturing? And then the last one is what we're earning. So it's buy, own, nurture, earn. Take those letters. It's the backbone of digital marketing. It's a concept we've used. I created it more than a decade ago. Very simple. But what it does, when you look at your own data, when you go into Google Analytics and you look at your data, you can very quickly see, okay, as a brand, we have a huge reliance on our, let's say for you guys, I don't know, but let's say we have a huge reliance on our own brand visibility. our brand visibility and then the stuff we're nurturing. Therefore, we're not doing anything with the traffic. We're not buying any traffic right now. And our SEO, when we exclude
Yep.
brand, is not doing very much. Hypothetically, I'm not saying that's the case, but let's, if that was the case.
Yeah.
The
Yep.
reason that's important to do, and it's an hour exercise at most, the reason that's really important to do is when you're then thinking about, okay, today we're a £15.5 million business. In a year from now, we want to hit 17 or 18 million or whatever it might be. You can then look at that and go, okay, let's say of that 15 million, we can account the online side is a third of it or whatever. We can then go, right, where's the growth going to come from? And it's only once you can understand, okay, well, right now we have zero reliance on paid. We want to develop a 5-10% reliance on paid. And that's where we can get quick and easy growth. So it really comes down to knowing, firstly, what you're trying to achieve and what success looks like. That's where we would start. That's a long-winded way of answering, but that's where we would start.
No, that's good.
Once we understand that, then obviously we look at, well, which types of channels and so on. And then once we've decided, okay, Meta's going to be, as we've said, for you, I think Meta from a retargeting, Google and Bing. Bing is a great one. We barely touched it, but Bing, for your target demographic, Bing, all day long. The reason being, it's the default browser.
Yes.
And therefore, a lot of your target market will use it because they won't change it. That's a no-brainer. So Google and Bing. And the great thing is when you run Google ads, you can effectively mirror it into Bing. So you're not creating a huge amount more work. In terms of measuring the actual success of the campaigns, once you've started with the end in mind, you've gone, we know which platforms. What do you think? How are you measuring the success of those campaigns? Which metrics are you going to?
Well, first and foremost, I would just go through your Google Analytics to understand what kind of traffic you have generated online. But then do you have in store, have you got one of those systems that actually measures the amount of, the number of people who actually walk through the door?
No, we did talk about doing that, and then we weren't sure it was worth the budget. We were looking at either footfall or AMPR with the CCTV to measure cars coming in, or something that gave us some
I
kind
think,
of
and
measure.
I think if you've got something installed that would be able to capture that traffic, that footfall, the amount of people coming through the door would be quite helpful, because then you can extrapolate it and you can see, you can look at the data in your Google Analytics and see how much that possibly could have been converting. The other way to look at it as well is just to scrutinize your metadata. So at the moment, even if you are not running any paid advertising on Meta, you can use Meta Insights on your page, and you can see what your reach is and so on. You can see which areas people are coming from. And then the third way I would probably try and measure that is I would try and find a correlation between, let's say, your email activity with the with essentially a footfall that you are noticing sort of visually, if you like, in store. Just almost keep tabs on people who are coming in.
I'll tell you what I would also add to the mix as well that we've done for other clients is run specific campaigns where you are getting them to take an action on the website. So for example, I'll give you an example. So if you might be running a May bank holiday, end of May bank holiday event where essentially you incentivize people. So you run it, you would have to obviously pre-plan this, you would set a timeline, but you would run a campaign for a set period of time where it's, they've got to go on and they get maybe a 5% discount voucher, or they get a free coffee with every plant purchase, whatever the offer is, but where they have to register their details. So you're capturing that data, you're building that email list. And then, but in doing that, that's a great way, a very tangible way of tracking the engagement you're getting on a campaign. So you might go, okay, well, we've invested 5K over a month in terms of Meta or Google or whatever. We've had X amount of clicks and impressions, which we know is brand visibility, which will feel quite literally in the till over the coming weeks as more people see and find the brand. But also that has led to X amount of people signing up for our discount and or downloading something or whatever it might be, whatever the asset or the offer that you provide. That's a really tangible way of seeing we got 1,000 clicks and we had 120 people download or register for the event or get the discount code or whatever. Then you can see the cost per acquisition for every click we got, it took 10 clicks or 20 clicks to get each person to get a person to register.
And
that's a really tangible way of tracking
it is.
the
And
ROI.
to make it even more tangible, I think, and I absolutely love this idea, Aaron, that's brilliant. Just to take that one further as well, is just if you can then create a campaign where it will be sort of redeemable in store. So if it's a voucher that they have to exchange at the checkout, then you can see straight away how many of these vouchers actually were used, and then extrapolate against the cost of the campaign.
There you go. Love that. Hannah, has that been useful?
Amazing. It's been fantastic. I've learned so much. It's kind of catapulted my thinking forward a lot, which is really helpful. I think it can feel a bit daunting, this kind of area of paid media, and you've explained it really clearly and given me lots of things to think about. So
no, it's been our absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on. Hopefully you have enjoyed. I mean, it's the podcast is not called Grow with Evergreen for nothing, is it? We try. Do you know what? We've got a sign on the office in the wall that says, if you can't explain something simply, I think it's an Einstein quote. If you can't explain something simply, you don't understand it well enough.
That's correct.
It's so true. And I think there's a lot of marketers, there's a lot of people out there that love to really overcomplicate things. And I think something we try and
we don't do jargon.
It's just we don't do jargon, do we? I like that as I like
good.
That
it comes across.
Evergreen, we don't do jargon. I quite like that. But no, I think we do try and keep things simple. Keep it simple, stupid.
Kiss.
The kiss and that. I like that. I like that.
Absolutely
not. We all keep it simple, stupid. But no, Hannah, look, thank you so much for coming on. Really enjoyed that. I'm gonna follow up. I'm gonna send you a couple of the those bits I mentioned on this episode. So I'll make sure you get those. Have a read of them. If you do have any questions, then obviously just come back. And best of luck with it. And keep us in the loop when you do consolidate the websites. We'd love to see. And we are regularly down in your neck of the woods. Next time we are, we'll give you. We'll
come and visit. I'll treat you to a scone.
Yes. Love it. Hannah, thank you so much, and we'll speak soon. Yeah, all the best.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much, Hannah.
Bye.
Well, that was fun.
It was great.
I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that.
It's such a wholesome business.
It's a great
absolutely love it. Do you know, it took me back because the first business I built was built with my dad and just made me well up a little bit.
Yeah. I know.
So nice.
I mean, it's a great business, but how many of the same and how many other garden centres out there are experiencing the same thing? They do. A little bit old school in the marketing approach, reluctance to delve into the digital side and what and how and why. And I think there's so many of what we would consider the basics of retargeting and stuff that is often I've never done it, don't know how. And I think that is hopefully we've been able to just almost reassure Hannah. I think that's something we consistently do when we're talking to prospective clients as well, is that reassurance. It's not this big scary world. It doesn't actually need to be overly complex. And actually just by doing a few basics well, you can actually really just keep your brand in front of your target customer.
Yeah, and ironically, with a business like this, and obviously it's a brick and mortar business.
Yes,
we are almost opening digital doors to get people through the actual physical doors of that location, and it's so beautiful.
They're so entwined, particularly as you say, particularly we know with garden centres, they really want to engage the 25 to 40s. That is, so many garden centres are wanting to engage. Okay, they're doing great at the 40, 50 plus, of which I'm now in the 40 plus. We're both are in 40 plus.
Yes.
This is not good. So we're slap bang in the middle of the target. But that younger demo, these youngsters, the garden centres want to engage. For the most part, they want to get those younger folks in, more of them. And I think you've got to embrace that whole digital side to bring them in, and you're going to need to do some of that online to get more people physically there.
And I think with this business in particular, what I really, really like about it is the how well-rounded it is, and actually how well it's doing already. Because I think at this point, all we could possibly do, the value we would bring is just catapulting it to the next level.
Yeah, they're already a business that size, and they're not really doing hardly anything digitally.
No.
I mean, it's just, how exciting is that in terms of an opportunity for Hannah to be able to take that to a whole new level? It's huge because she's doing all of that and barely scratching the surface with Meta, with Google. We didn't even talk about YouTube advertising.
No, we didn't. No.
And various other Pinterest would be an absolute no-brainer.
Banger. And for example, Discover ads as well, which is essentially, like almost like the Advantage Plus for Meta, but it's on Google, and it's just so visual. And I think anything visual for a garden center is just it's a must.
It is. It is. Well, there you go. Well, look, we hope you've enjoyed this episode of Grow with Evergreen. We have had an absolute blast, as we always do. Hopefully, we've equipped Hannah there with a few little golden nuggets she can take away and deploy into her business. Until the next time, we'll see you soon. All the best.
Bye for now.